Hello and welcome back. This is Sherry with Heart and Soulful. Back in the studio, I decided I needed to clean off my desk a little bit, so you're going to get to see exactly how messy it is. I'm not even clearing it off for this video. So I hope if you're just joining me for the very first time, you enjoy this video. If you do, please give me a thumbs up, click on subscribe and the little bell so you'll get a notification when I do post something new. So I have been working on these vintage journals or books, vintage books that I'm turning into journals. And the video yesterday, I have started my slow stitch spine cover for this one, but I wanted to get my desk cleared off so that I can feel good about leaving for a few days. So I have all these scraps I need to use, and I'm going to see what kind of projects I can do in a day and get some of these things turned into actual usable things that I can put inside the journal. So for this video, I'm going to make this cute little matchbook style scrap pad that I can include, and you can use it in your journal leaving it just the way that it is, or you can tear out these little bits for collage or to put little sayings on or whatever you come up with. So I just thought they were a fun, cute way to use up some of these little scraps. So we're going to make this today. So I have in my pile some of these pieces that are in kind of maybe heavier paper or cardstock that I trim off of folios, and some of them were already folded to fit into a certain size book. And then I decided, instead of, folding up a pocket, just to cut that off and use this for something else. So these were just some digitals, and they're already folded, which gave me the idea of just kind of turning them into these little matchbook things. So I don't need this flap, so I'm going to cut that off, and that can be used for collage, or I can even just tear it off. I can see where my line is easier than cutting it probably. So that goes back in the scrap pile. And then this is a little bit too tall for what I need, so I'm going to just fold it in half. And that'll be kind of what captures and holds in those little pieces. And then you want this piece to be a little shorter than the fold. Do you see that? And it doesn't have to be an exact measurement, but I need room to put a couple of staples there, or one, just to kind of make this be a little tuck-in thing. So that works out perfectly there. So I'm just going to go ahead, and I can do multiple or whatever you want, but I'm just going to, just like a little matchbook where the matches are stapled in, I'm just going to do one right here in the center, and keeping it low because I know I only have that little amount of space. So this is just a tiny stapler. There's different brands. This one's Heidi Swap. So I'll try to find a link for a little mini stapler. That's always handy to have. Okay, so now I have my little thing that's going to tuck like that. Okay, so now I need my papers for inside. And I have a pile here. I had kind of already folded these, but I had really left them all too long. So I kind of want to just see what fits close that I can maybe just fold up. So this one wasn't bad. It's a little bit too wide, so maybe I tear off just this little edge so it'll fit. So that fits in there. It's a little long, so I'll just fold it up. Because these can be used, like I said, for just little bits, making little snippets, little cute little collage things. Like I have in this drawer, little miniature scraps. You can, layer these and kind of create some little layered, cute little embellishments. So some small things may end up in that drawer. So even if you tear off little pieces, save those. So I need a few more pieces. So this will kind of be my guide to how tall they can be. And I'm just going to cut these shorter. so that they'll fit. They need to fit between the top and that staple. And let's see what else I have here. These are a little bit, everything I folded, I just kind of, when I did it, I was going to just leave them in these long, skinny kind of packages, and I hadn't thought about putting them in a matchbook sort of thing. So I think that will still fit. So that's about as long as I can go. Let's see. I'm going to save this one. I kind of like it for the top one. And these you can kind of stagger them because I have a little bit more width. I can, just so that you can kind of see what you have there. Yeah, this one will fit, I think. That is a little bit tall, so let's see. I'll just trim that off. Okay, so you just want to put together a cute little stack. Maybe I'll turn that this way. Okay, and now that I have my little stack, I'm going to go over to my sewing machine with no thread, and I'm going to put it at the halfway mark or half-inch mark, and I'm just going to stitch a little perforated edge there. So I have my little perforated edge that I made. I put it again at the half-inch. That way it gives me room to stitch my package together and leave that perforated line below, so that I can just, as I want to use anything, I can tear that off. So I'm just going to kind of pop it in there and kind of see where I want to maybe fold this back on itself. And that will help me kind of see where I want to put my stitching. So I'm just eyeballing this, you know, so it's a little less than a half an inch here that I have this fold. And then I'm just going to take the whole package, and I can maybe go ahead and tuck this in there. And I'm going to take this whole package, and I need to punch some holes. Now you can punch them by hand, just, you know, use something soft. I have my felt mat here I could use, or this piece of recycled material that's soft, or you could fold up a towel or something and just mark holes and punch. But I happen to have this We Are Memory Keepers little bookbinding kit, and it allows you to punch nice even holes for some different decorative stitches. So I'm going to do the simplest one today. What I like to do is kind of line it up so that my holes are even. Sometimes that means you can push this all the way to the edge. There's a little, let me show you. There's a little lip here, so I can push it all the way there. But then on this piece, there is another little lip there. So I can, sometimes you can push it all the way and then just look to see if these holes look even. So in this case, there's a little bit more space on this side. It's not really that much. So you can just adjust it over if you want. And then once you have it lined up so that your holes are going to be even, it has these little screw down things, or you can just hold it with your hand. For such a small project like this, I even just hold it with my hands, and then take your pokey tool, and I'll zoom in here so you can kind of see. And I'm just going to decide, they have, they're marked with a circle around every other one. So if you wanted to do a pattern, if you were doing something that was wider, mine's so short that I'm only going to have one row, but it would let me easily be able to see if I wanted to alternate those. I'm going to do them because it's such a small project. I'm going to punch them each hole, which looks to me about a quarter of an inch apart. So I'm just going to punch these super quick here all the way through so that I can do a little decorative stitch on the top of this. You could sew this with your sewing machine. You could do just 2 eyelets and then bind it together like a pamphlet stitch. You know, there's all kinds of things you can do decoratively, but I'm just going to use my embroidery thread, and I have this sitting right here. So I'm just going to choose some thread that's already sitting on my table that I like with this. And that one looks nice, so I think I'll use this one. And just be careful and not move everything. I might put that on there just so I don't lose what I was doing there. And that's the color. So I'm just gonna grab a little length of that. And a large eye needle. And then for this simple stitch that I'm going to do, I'm just going to go in the middle hole. So hopefully you have an odd number. And then I'm going to come up and over the top and go back in the same hole. And then I'm going to go across one direction or the other. Doesn't matter. You're going to come back and do the other side. And then again, I'm going to go over the top and come back in that back hole. So it's kind of like a blanket stitch. Then you're going to go over one, back up and over into the same hole. Okay, over one, up and over, back in the same hole. Over one, back up and over in the same hole. Get rid of that. And now I like to come around the side just to finish that corner off and go back in the same hole again. And then you'll notice I have a space every other one. So now I'm just going to go weave in and out, and it's going to end up putting a stitch. So you're going to do like a running stitch. Just fill in those every other spaces. Same here. And then back in the center. So I've completed one side. So I have stitches all up and down and across. And now I'm just going to go the other direction. Now this is because I want to tie my thread in the center. If you wanted your thread to one side or the other, you can just start there. So you can start anywhere. It's that we're going to end up tying this off in the middle. So I'm going to go across, up and back through the same hole, across, up and back through the same hole, straighten that up, across, up and over, back through the same hole, and hopefully my thread is long enough here. Back around, and then fill in those gaps. Ooh, this one feels pretty tight. Okay, and then I end filling in that, filling in that last gap, and I'm just going to tie that off. So I kind of like to go through this side just so that it makes my tie nice and centered. So I'm just going to tie a couple knots. You can tie a bow, you can add some little beads. And there you go, a nice little matchbook of scraps. So we used up scraps. I can put it in the journal, and then they're there for little collage decorations. Okay, so that's it. I have 2 done now. I do have one that I think I put in a journal already that I did yesterday out of the scraps. So it's just a fun little thing that you can tuck into your journal. So there you have it. I guess I should scoot out so you can see. So that's it. Quick little project. Now I'll have to finish up some of these with all of the digitals that I have and then move on to another idea. So have a great rest of your day. Now go make something. Bye.